It's time for Fort Worth Musical Moments. Join us now as Steve Markwardt takes a look at the music and the artists who made the city's vibrant musical legacy what it is today. Well, hey there. Welcome to Fort Worth Musical Moments. Here we are, Brent Adams, along with Steve Markwardt. And today we've got another special guest, a guy that you know quite well, Steve.
That's right. Known him all my life. My brother, Mike Markwardt, who is well, he's lots of things, but he's here. His capacity today as the founder and the chairman of the Birthplace of Western Swing. And he's got a lot to talk about the festival and about the film. And we've touched on that in past shows, and we try to mention it every chance we get. But we just wanted to get him back on here, and because he's got some exciting announcements to make that he's kind of been holding close to the vest until today.
Yeah, Mike, you've been a busy man lately.
Welcome. Yes, I have. I've been traveling to festivals, and we opened up our ticket sales only about 3 weeks ago today, and for our big festival in November. And I've been working feverishly on the media clearance licensing for my film, and a lot of things going on.
Well, I tell you, one of the cool things that you guys have done here recently, a trip to the National Cowboy Hall of Fame and Western Heritage Awards.
Yes, that was quite a trip. Just last weekend, it's kind of the who's who of the Western world. It's the preeminent Western Award show. And Steve and I, along with Robert Houston, we met him. He drove over from Arkansas. Our good buddy Jim Steenbergen. There we are, the four of us. Those are the outlaws of Oklahoma right there.
Some handsome brutes.
Yep, standing on the red carpet. Steve and I in our tuxes and black hats. We had a blast. It was great. We mingled with some stars there. I mean, from several of the cast members of Yellowstone were there, and Michael Martin Murphey, there he is with Carolyn Wills, Bob Wills' daughter and granddaughter, Andrea Ruby. It was a great weekend, and they honored the three distinct, important Western swing folks at that awards banquet. They honored Bob Wills, inducted him into the Hall of Fame, the Wrangler Hall of Fame there in the Western Heritage Hall of Fame, along with Red Steagall was given the Lifetime Achievement Award. I think Red's won like 8 Wrangler Awards. He's probably got more awards than anyone in that organization. And then they honored for his, I think, 3rd Wrangler Award. They gave Michael Martin Murphey and his son Ryan Murphy an award for Best Western Song of the Year, and they performed that song on stage. It was great. And a couple of our other stars that are in our film, Barry Corbin was one of the hosts, or not hosts, but he introduced, I think, the Bob Wills Award for Bob, and it was great. It was a great weekend. We sat at a table with a lot of Bob Wills Foundation, the Bob Wills Heritage Foundation people. It was really, really a great experience. Steve, can you talk about the experience?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I was blown away by the presentation in and of itself. And yeah, they gave an award to Lou Diamond Phillips, the actor, the guy that ballads in La Bamba, and he was in so many other films. And you know what really struck me almost to a person, all the award recipients talked about not only how proud they didn't give just the stock, well, I'm really honored to receive this award. I mean, they were very emotional about the way of life that denotes the cowboy way, the cowboy and cowgirl way, and the code of ethics, that cowboy code that they all are very, very believe in very deeply, and it really made me feel proud to be kind of a small part of that whole world, and to be in the same room with those folks.
Yeah, I remember the chairman of Coors, Pete Coors, was honored with a Wrangler Award for his contributions to the Western way of life, and he stood up and brought a lot of his family with him, and he had at each of our seats on every table in that room of 1,000 people was a little solid stainless steel. I think it was called Code of the West was the name of it, but it was a wonderful little 10-point code that the cowboy lives by in the Western world, and a kind of a code of ethics, if you will. And I thought that was cool that he gave that to all of us.
So
Yeah, I did too. I did.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Jinx. Hey, I tell you what, you guys had a cocktail party, a lot of gatherings. Take us behind the scenes. Tell us about some of it. You get all these people that follow that code of ethics and are torchbearers for the Western way. Tell us a bit about some of the conversations that went on behind the scenes there. What do you guys talk about?
Yeah, at the cocktail party, Steve and I had a great meeting with the executive director. I think he's president, CEO of the National Cowboy Hall of Fame and Western Heritage Museum. And his name is Mr. Pat Fitzgerald. And we told him all about our documentary film. Unfortunately, he didn't have time to come the next day on Saturday afternoon. He was busy doing the rehearsal for the big gala that night. So he did not get to attend our film screening, but we did have a number of folks that came to the film screening there at the Oklahoma Historical Society. That went off really well. Those that saw it really enjoyed it, were impressed. And I even had Red Stegall and Barry Corbin mention to Pat Fitzgerald how good our film was. So that might give us a good foot in the door to maybe submit our film for a possible consideration for a Wrangler Award in next year or maybe the year after. Who knows? We might have a chance there. So I think I'm definitely going to try to submit the film for a possible Wrangler Award. But that's like receiving almost an Academy Award. It's a big honor to be in that. And so who knows? We might have a chance. But it was great. We just met tons of people. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, another cool thing was, like a guy like Michael Martin Murphey, who, Mike, I know you've become pretty good friends with. I've gotten to know him a little bit, not spent a lot of time with Michael and with some of those other guys, Michael in particular, who's been a huge fan and friend to the film, and even a donor, which just blew us away when he came to that first screening, and then stood up and proclaimed that he was going to write a check, a very generous check to keep the film going. And he's one of our certainly most influential cheerleaders out there. But Michael is just such a cowboy in every sense of the word, and when you see the film, you'll understand that Michael is one of the foremost historians of that cowboy life. He talks about it in the film, about how the cowboy music, what influenced that music, and he gives a nice little history lesson inside of that film, which is amazing. And Michael's just such a gracious entertainer, and just so darn good. But one of the things that really was a really nice treat was after the awards banquet was over, we go back to the hotel, and the word got around very, very discreetly that Michael was doing a little private jam session, and that he had reserved a room at the hotel. So we got to go in there and just sit, a real intimate setting, and watch him perform with his son. And, and he had a few other friends join him as well. And so that was a neat moment as well. So I felt very fortunate to be there.
Yeah, that was great. One other guy, I didn't get a chance to actually meet him, but I've talked to him on the phone a ton over the past couple of months. A gentleman that's on the board of directors of this big National Cowboy Hall of Fame, who also gave our invocation at the start of the gala dinner, a guy by the name of Lincoln Loggeson. I don't know if you remember seeing him, Steve. He gave the invocation. He is my lead guy that's helping me on media clearances for licensing of music, archival film clips, all of that. And he introduced me to two supervisors that I've hired, Dominique Pryor, that's helping me on the music side, and Kate Coe, who's helping me on the archival film and image side. So I feel honored to have somebody of that stature. Lincoln's a pretty big Hollywood guy. He's a filmmaker, and he's got a lot of big films to his credit. And he's helping us on this side of the film that I know nothing about. It's the licensing, but it's a very critical part of making a music documentary, because you're using so many assets in the film of copyright type material, like music and certain archival film clips and some images. But it's a mountain of a task. But I guess that can kind of move us into the documentary film side of things, Brent. That's what I'm working on right now, is all that licensing and clearances, and it is very, very complicated. But thank goodness I've got 2 people full-time working on that.
So when you get into that, and you do, yeah, we've seen the film, and there are just thousands of pieces of video clip and also audio clips. And I think the average media consumer, when they sit down to watch something, doesn't realize that each one of those clips that was generated by another person. And when you talk about music, many people, you talk about songwriters, you talk about the performers themselves. Ah, man, there's a lot of clearances you need to get that thing out the door and not find yourself in a court of law.
Yeah, you cannot move to distribution. A PBS will not broadcast unless you've got your clear. They have to see that the film is safe to broadcast. Basically, they're not going to touch it unless you've got that. And then also that helps me get all of my E&O insurance for certain pieces of media that you just cannot find the source. You have E&O insurance to protect you in case someone comes after you. So you want to get the film cleared as much as possible, and then you could move towards distribution. And that's our next big strategy. When we get this clearance and licensing done over the next 3 or 4 months, we will move towards my contact at KERA in Dallas. They're the big PBS affiliate in Dallas, Texas, that has told me they want to kind of help go on a road show to help us market this film to a number of PBS affiliate stations across the country, in the hopes and desire to get this film out there for a national PBS broadcast, or at least a semi-national. And it would be monumental. I hope we can get millions of eyes to see this film, Steve, to help kind of re-energize or restart a second revival of this Western swing music that we all love.
Well, and I think we're in the beginnings of that revival. I really feel that. And if you think about it, Mike, when we were at the Bob Wills Day thing in Turkey, Texas last year, there was a huge crowd there. It seemed like it was more well attended than ever before. And I learned in retrospect that there was a Texas Monthly writer there that was doing a little story on that deal, and they came, according to the story itself, the writer was saying, I came mildly amused to capture this nostalgic music and the followers that have been following this music for years and years, and what they were surprised about was that according to the organizers, and just according to him and his observances looking around as he tried, moved through that festival, that they were seeing a record number of younger attendees, which
Yes.
tells you that new people are discovering this music and appreciating it. We've seen some of that ourselves with some of the folks that like your son Shane's friends. They're a lot of those folks are hot to trot on board with this thing. Hayden Redmond being one of them, who is so that he's going to help. He's helping promote not only your festival, but he's helping me promote my concert series as well. Right. And so I think that's a good sign. But yes, of this type. And I told you when you first asked me to help you with this, I said one of the main things I want this film to do is, not only validate the story that needs to be told to those that already know it, historians like you and Robert Houston and some of the other folks we know, but more importantly to gain to catch the interest of people that don't know the story and don't know how influential this music was, and don't know that this music literally influenced rockabilly, which turned into rock and roll, and before you know it, you had a guy like Elvis Presley out there, and before him you had Hank Williams, who took the Western swing beat and simplified it into open chord structures on the guitar, but he took that same attitude and same feel and took it into his music, and then that influenced rock and roll, and then so on and so forth. So and then people that are take the time to dive into that will see that how influential this music was and just how infectious it is.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. I'm also working right now on a couple of grants to raise funding to pay for all this expensive legal licensing. One of them is with the Texas Historical Society. We're about to submit a big grant submission there, working on others. But if you think about it, this music is all about Texas history. And I would think we stand a reasonably good chance of getting grants there. I mean, if you don't love this, if you don't love Texas, I mean, if you love Texas history, you're going to love this film. And I think a lot of people outside of Texas are going to really enjoy it because it's refreshingly new to put a spotlight on a genre that most people outside of the state of Texas don't even know hardly what Western swing is. Some do, but we hope to really educate a ton of folks and open a pathway to a whole genre of music that a lot of people have never heard. And I think, like you said, Steve, it's going to open a lot of eyes and ears to this music. If I may, Brent, mention our website for donations. We've got sponsorships for the film and festival that we're striving to promote, to help pay for a lot of this funding. And that website is historyofwesternswing.com. Historyofwesternswing.com. You can go there, watch the 3-minute trailer of the film, and you scroll down and you'll see the sponsored donation section down at the bottom. And if you feel it in your heart to help us, we need that funding. And in return, we can give named credit in the film. Your name would appear in the film where millions of eyes will see that. I think if it's a corporate donation, we'll put the company name. That's a good plus. And we give varying different levels depending on the size of your donation. We give different VIP ticket packages to receive the official 3-day wristbands, the Stockyards tour tickets, and the dinner tickets at National Hall for our November festival. So again, go to historyofwesternswing.com to make a donation. If you can help us out, we really appreciate it.
There we go. We will scroll that across the bottom of the screen here so folks can check that out and leave it up there for a moment so they know. In addition to what you've got going on there with the documentary, the Cowtown Birthplace Western Swing Festival has made some news here recently as well.
Yes, you see the logo behind me. We just announced just 4 days ago, and we've had a massive influx of ticket sales as a result of it. But we were under contract to not announce this finale artist that we have playing Saturday evening from 10 p.m. until midnight. Our final act, the finale of the 3-day festival, he played at Billy Bob's this past Saturday, and I was not allowed to announce that he's in our festival until after that performance. So back on Monday or Tuesday, maybe, I made the announcement that filling that final spot is Drake Milligan. This kid, he's only 24 years old, but goodness, he's got the mind and soul of a George Strait, a Merle Haggard, even Bob Wills. He loves the old traditional country, Texas honky tonk / country Western swing music. And I'm sure a lot of his repertoire at our festival will be geared in that direction. He's done a lot of original songs. He released his first album this past October. And between the months of November and January, he was the #1 iTunes, Spotify, Amazon download for all of country music, and even ranking pretty high in the pop music category, because it's number one, a great album of original traditional country and Western swing songs. But number two, he parlayed that with the timing of him being on the America's Got Talent last late summer, early fall. And he made it all the way to third place. A lot of people thought he would win it, but they went with a dance act this year that won the grand prize. But he got third place on that. And I don't know if you've seen any of the America's Got Talent clips of him, but he's so professional and so good live. He's just electrifying on stage. They call him, it's kind of funny because when he was a young teenager, like age 12 to 14, his gig was an Elvis tribute artist. He was like a young Elvis tribute artist. So he's got that, they call him kind of the new Elvis of country music, which is kind of funny. He doesn't jump and jiggle and wiggle a whole lot on stage, or he did back then, but he has some moves that to this day that the girls scream and go wild. So I'm sure his stage presence will be fabulous at Little National Hall. I call it Little. It's a big dance hall, but for him, it's a small venue. He's been filling 30, 40, 50,000 seat arenas over the past 7 months. We're really fortunate to have this guy. I mean, we're getting him at a good price. He kind of lowered his price because he wanted to be in the festival. He loves Western swing. So I think this is a real coup to have him. Steve, don't you think he'll attract a lot of new people that have never been to our festival, probably?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's again another affirmation. You know, a guy like this who is taking up the mantle of the traditional country and Western swing genre and putting it out there. And as you said, you know, as a result of that, he was for a good while the number one download on iTunes. That tells you where this music is heading, and young guys like that are, of course, you know, like rain from heaven for us to take this into the forefront.
Right. I kind of parallel his career. The way I see it is not really Elvis, the new Elvis. I almost see him kind of as the new George Strait, because he sings the old traditional style. He grew up listening to Merle Haggard, George Jones, Bob Wills. His father is a huge Bob Wills fan. So, and George Strait, when he started in the early 1980s, he kind of brought that old country sound back to the forefront. Because if you remember in the 70s, it was just filled with that smooth, rhythmic, kind of that Nashville sound. It was just all really too polished, in my opinion. I didn't particularly care. I cared for some of it, but anyway, I think he's like another George Strait, and I think the crowd's going to love him. And then, of course, we've got other great acts in our festival. Coming back for the third year in a row, we have the Bob Wills Texas Playboys under the direction of Jason Roberts, Grammy Award-winning fiddler. Great guy. We've got Billy Mata and the Texas Tradition. This guy is an amazing replica of old Tommy Duncan. He sings with a wonderful crooner's voice, a lot like my brother. My brother is also a great crooner, and his band, Steve's band, the A-List band, kicks off Thursday night. Actually, he's not first. He's like the third band on Thursday evening. And Robert Houston, one of our board advisors, is playing right before Steve. He's bringing the only Western swing band in the state of Arkansas. He's bringing those folks down to play for us. So that's going to be great. And old Chuck Cusimano, Country Enough. I can't wait for him to perform at our festival. He's really kicking off the festival, the first band. And then you've got other returning guys like Kelly Spinks and Miles of Texas. You've got Jake Hooker, the fabulous Jake Hooker, and his father, Tommy Hooker, and the Outsiders. Let's see, who else? You've got Jody Nix. Oh, my goodness. We call him the crown prince of Western swing. Jody recorded on that seminal album, that 1973 album, Bob Wills for the Last Time and his Texas Playboys. That was Jody sang on that album when he was just 21 years old. And ever since then, he has carried the mantle of Western swing more than anybody. except for maybe Asleep at the Wheel. And we hope to eventually someday get Asleep at the Wheel at our festival. Who knows? We might get them next year. And then, we have J.D. Barham and Cow Jazz returning. That's a great band out of Midland, Texas. A lot of good old West Texas cowboys playing in that band. And J.D. is like another Bob Wills on stage, isn't he, Steve? He dances and prances and sings.
Mike, as a matter of fact, JD and I are a lot alike. We like the same. We lean more toward that older, more obscure, like Milton Brown stuff, the real bluesy stuff, and
yes.
Some of the show tune type things. And JD really rocks it with his horn section. In fact, I think at some point, maybe next year, JD and I need to do a battle of the bands or something like that.
Yes, he would be great for your. We'll talk about later your National Hall concert series. He would be great to have as a battle of the bands with playing on the same night as your band. And then we've also at our festival we've got some other featured artists that are playing with some of the bands. We've got Floyd Domino, the fabulous jazz pianist who played for many years with Asleep at the Wheel. He's coming up from Austin to perform with Billy Mata and the Texas Tradition. We've got the fabulous Miss Katie Shore, who was the lead fiddler for a number of years at Asleep at the Wheel. She's actually a Fort Worth girl. She went to Pascal High School right here in Fort Worth. My daughter's husband, new husband, she just married a few months ago. He went to high school at the same time with Katie, knows her quite well. And she's playing fiddle with Jason Roberts in the Bob Wills Texas Playboys. That'll be great. Let's see who else we've got featured. Oh, Steve, who might your band, the A-List band, might surprise some folks with some featured entertainers?
I'm sure Shane McCauley's going to see that Louise Rowe makes it, and if so, up for it, we'll get her on stage. Louise, and talk about Louise, Mike. She's what a treasure.
Yeah, she is truly one of the very last living Texas Playboys. I guess you could call her a playgirl, but playgirl is not really what she likes to be called. She likes to be called a playboy because she was a true musician, the only female musician ever for Bob Wills' band. She played upright bass. And I remember last year, you captured, Steve, some real magic on that stage when you did the old Milk Cow Blues, and you had the band say, "Wait a minute, boys, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's feature Louise on bass." And Louise went off on an improvised bass run that was fabulous. And we had the whole crowd just gathered around the stage. Everybody had their cell phones filming it. It was a wonderful deal.
What a moment that was, Mike. And I'll tell you, we asked Louise to come up there. She sat in and did Milk Cow and another song. I can't remember the other song we did, but Milk Cow really stood out because it allowed for every artist to shine. The great Terry Bayless. That was my deal in last August, and Terry Bayless was with us. And then just a week later, Terry unfortunately passed away. But that was such an honor to have him up there. But I remember Louise, after she did her part and she walked off stage, she stood off stage, backstage, and I went over to stand by her when one of our other artists was up performing, and she said, "Do you mind if I just stay up here? I love this, just being up here close to the musicians." I said, "Louise, you can stay. In fact, you can stay on stage if you want. I'm just so glad to have you." And she made a comment, which I thought was just a supreme compliment, because we were unveiling for the first time all of our original Western swing songs. And she said, "I've never heard these songs before, but this is wonderful what y'all are doing." She goes, "This reminds me, the excitement that I felt reminds me of the old days with Bob." And I thought, wow, what a compliment that is.
Yeah, that's the ultimate compliment. Tell us about who might join you on possibly piano again. She was a big hit last year.
Oh, Lucy Dean record. Yeah. What an amazing. And let's see, how old is Lucy Dean now?
She's 96 now. We presented her a Lifetime Achievement Award. Our Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing organization presented her with a nice Golden Fiddle Award. We gave Louise a Golden Fiddle Award the year prior on our first inaugural year. And yeah, those two people really added excitement. What about some of the younger people in your band that you feature? I love those folks.
Well, I'm sure we'll have Mackenzie and Austin McKetty come and do a few songs, and Mackenzie and Austin are opening here pretty soon for Gene Watson, which what a great thing, exciting thing for them. We're real proud of them. I talked to Vanessa Bourne last night from Australia, and she's like burning up the charts in Australia, and they love their country music there. And she's definitely planning on coming in and taking the stage.
You'll have to get her on stage. I've seen her perform in Lubbock at that Country Music Awards, where she won the Best International Entertainer of the Year award, and she was fabulous. I think our audience will love that. And by the way, on our ticket sales, I forgot to mention, for our festival, we're up to well over 300 tickets, 3-day tickets. We're only selling 3-day tickets. We're not selling individual day tickets. That way everybody gets to keep the same seat all 3 days. And we've sold over 300 now. We've got like 180 seats left to sell. And we encourage everyone to go to our Birthplace of WesternSwing.com website, Birthplace of WesternSwing.com. The film is HistoryOfWesternSwing.com. The festival is Birthplace of WesternSwing.com. That's the name of it right there. But so you go to Birthplace of WesternSwing.com to buy tickets. You just click on the upper left corner festival logo, and you go right to the festival page and buy your tickets. We've got varying levels of tickets for 3 days, ranging from $75 for wall seating, no tables, just a wall seat, $100 for reserved seating in the corner sections of the hall, which still is great seats. And then we've got $150 VIP seats, which is close to the stage, close to the dance floor, along the sides, and then $200 ultra VIP tickets, which gets you also the 3 delicious hot plated meals. John Durham, the general manager at National Hall, is cooking up some great food. I think he's going to have Italian night on Thursday, Czech German sausage pork loin night on Friday, and then good old Texas barbecue Saturday. And you'll get that with the $200 tickets, along with we're selling the Stockyards tour ticket, which is a 4-hour bus excursion down into the Stockyards. There it is. And we've got the Lake Travis Fiddlers, a group of young high school kids that are trained in Austin area high schools, but from the likes of Ray Benson and Floyd Domino and Jason Roberts. All these big Austin area Western Swing stars do workshops with these kids, and they have a full-time director of their orchestra. But these are like the who's who musicians of high school area down there that are coming up on a bus to perform for us at the Second Rodeo Brewing bar, which is right there on Mule Alley. Mule Alley, people will love that. That's the newest addition to the Stockyards, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of chic Western shopping there. All the greatest brands of Western apparel and Western culture products are available there. And people also will get to see the only daily Longhorn cattle drive, only daily cattle drive in a major city anywhere on planet Earth. They do it every day in the Stockyards, and we're timing that luncheon dance for people to see that Longhorn cattle drive right before the luncheon dance. Then,
Mike,
the buses will take everybody back. Buses will transport everybody to the Stockyards at 10 a.m. that morning from National Hall. And at 2 p.m., the buses will take everybody back to National Hall. And then the 3 bands will start up Friday evening, starting at 3 o'clock.
So, Mike, you consider the price of the VIP, ultra VIP ticket, and you consider all the entertainment. We got, 13 different bands? 13
bands. You've got Drake Milligan, who alone is selling out arenas for $100 a ticket. And you're getting him on Saturday, plus these plethora of all these other great bands. If you get the Stockyards Tour $10 ticket, or if you don't want to buy a ticket at Stockyards Tour, you can just meet everybody down there. If you live in the Fort Worth area and you already know how to go to the stockyards, you can just drive your own car down there and meet us on Mule Alley. You don't have to ride the buses.
Or if you miss the bus, you can be one of 12 people that piled in my car like last year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Y'all missed the bus coming back. But anyway, Brent, I hope you can make it. I would like to announce now and ask if Brent could make it to our festival. I want Brent to be the MC host on the opening night, Thursday, November 9th, at the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing Festival. Can you do it, Brent? We'd love to have you.
Consider it done.
Excellent, excellent. So you'll be our Thursday night host. Billy Bowles will be our all-day Friday host. He'll do the Stockyards tour and the dance that evening at National Hall. And then Robert Houston will be our MC on Saturday. So it should be a great lineup of MCs, historians, bands, the whole 9 yards.
You sure you want Brent one night? Because if he has nothing to do those next 2 nights, he's going to get in a lot of trouble.
Well, I've got some good old country girls that he can dance with. There's a lot of single women that are coming to this festival.
Hey now.
No, that's right. He's married. I'm sorry, but
all right, that's all right. No, it's going to be fun. Yeah, and I think Brent will be a great addition to the festivities. There's lots going on. I'm sure we'll be doing some raffle, silent or auction off a few things to raise some additional money. Maybe Brent can get involved in that as well. But that'll be great, Brent, if you're on the Thursday night MC, because then you'll get to bring both Robert Houston and my band up there. So that'll be great to be on stage with you.
That's exciting stuff.
Well, great. What would we like to talk about next? I think, Steve, since we've been talking about National Hall, could you tell us kind of what you've been planning and formulating to put together at National Hall and what you're doing to help support their facilities there at National Hall?
Thanks for turning the tables and being the interviewer. I appreciate that. But I think it's more just as important just to talk about National Hall itself as a venue, because I know that for the last couple of years you've been tempted to change venues because we've pretty much, as a festival, kind of outgrown National Hall, so to speak, and had to put a lot of people on wait list, which is, we hate to do. But I always think in a festival, being from the festival organizer standpoint, it's always better to leave them wanting than to have a half empty place and that's too big. And National Hall is just such a fantastic venue because of the acoustics are great in there. The hospitality is great. The fact that you've got unlimited free parking, huge parking lot, not only for cars, but you've got a huge yard for RV parking. And a lot of our festival goers are RV people that travel around from one festival to another. A lot of these folks just go on these festival jags, and so we've been talking about trying to figure out, after looking at other alternatives and whether they're financially just unfeasible for us as a festival. Just the fact that this place is so friendly in so many ways for our patrons. I just wanted you to talk a little bit about the future of this deal and maybe us, through some creative means, keeping it there at National Hall, because this is a historic hall that not only do we have we had successful festivals there. Now it'll be 3 years running, but you've had the big guys, Bob Wills and Milton Brown, both performed there, as did the Light Crust Doughboys. So let's talk about.
Yes, this whole hall, this photograph you're looking at is the inaugural year of 1938, when they opened the doors on October 9th, 1938. Back then, it was first constructed by the local Czech SPJST group. It was officially called Lodge Number 92. So I guess that means it was the 92nd Czech hall built in the United States. It seems like it would even be a lower number since it was built so long ago. But anyway, you see all those folks there, And there for a while, I think in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it might have been also called the Bohemian Hall. But it is a great venue. It's kind of shaped like the Alamo if you look at the front facade of the old building. But it has the finest solid oak dance floor, spring loaded. You just glide on that dance floor. Unlike most festivals you go to these days, a lot of them have just cement floors. And by the second day of dancing, your back, your knees are just killing you. And dancing at National Hall is just a wonderful experience. It's just really good. And you can see all those pictures we have up around the walls there. We try to create a Cain's Ballroom out of Tulsa, kind of trying to replicate the who's who legends of Western swing on all those photographs. And at the front entrance, if you see at the back of that photo, a doorway, that leads to the front door. And just to the left, as you enter the front door, we've created a little museum room in keeping with all the fabulous images that are used in our documentary film. We kind of take you through the 90-year history of Western swing in that museum room, and people really enjoy that. And old Paul Gonzalez built our letters. I don't know if you have a photograph showing the Cowtown illuminated logo on the dance floor, but Paul built those giant 42-inch tall marquee letters that, with their lights, inset lights, they kind of shimmer off the dance floor. It's a really cool effect. And yeah, Steve, I think it's just going to be great. And I don't know if you have a video of our lead kind of finale performer. You might want to show a little clip of Drake Milligan. I don't know if you have that or not, Brent.
Moving along. We don't have that.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Well, you can go to YouTube and just enter Drake Milligan and see some of his songs. I highly recommend you listen to Going Down Swinging. That's a Western swing tune he wrote, and he collaborates with old Vince Gill on this song. I think Vince sings one of the choruses in this song, and it's just a fabulous upbeat Western swing. And he also does a great Christmas song called Cowgirl for Christmas. You need to watch that one. That's a really good video. So anyway, I can't say enough about the festival. Again, go to birthplaceofwesternswing.com to get your tickets today, and come see Steve and Robert and JD and Jake and Jody and Jason, and just a fabulous lineup of bands. Tickets are selling swiftly, so you don't want to miss this epic event. It's going to be great.
Well, and as far as keeping the festival there at National Hall, I mean, it's not a given, but we've talked about ideas, perhaps maybe having a big tent erected and have a secondary stage. For crowd overflow. Because that hall gets pretty cozy at the peak of the festival. However, we've never felt like it was uncomfortably crowded. But we'd like to, the main thing is to be able to accommodate more patrons and get more people involved in attending this thing, and create that would be kind of a cool carnival atmosphere. Maybe have some food trucks out there.
Yeah. I would like to try to get the city of Lake Worth and Fort Worth's approval to do a little outdoor. There's that Cowtown photo I was referring to earlier. Those are the letters that Billy Paul Gonzalez built for us. Fabulous. People love that. It really fronts the stage nicely. And the logo up top is the same logo you see behind me here on this Facebook Live show. And the stage is fabulous. It's a lot like Cain's Ballroom. It kind of has the feel of Cain's out of Tulsa. That's why we chose that hall. It just has a real aura, just a cool feel, an old Texas dance hall feel to it,
Well, Mike, speaking of Billy Paul Gonzalez, so one of the things we were working for Clarksville Creative Sound, and for my music personally, I'm so in love with National Hall, and I'm like a lot of other people, Mike. I didn't even know that hall was there until you told me about it, and I suspect you didn't know it was there until somebody turned you on to it just recently. Here we've lived in Fort Worth almost our whole lives, but I love that hall so much that I decided, instead of playing nightclubs and honky tonks primarily with, because I want my band and my music to get more live exposure, I thought, what I really wanted to do is just make National Hall my home base, and put on concerts there on a very regular basis. And one of the challenges we've had with National Hall, technically speaking, is that they don't have a built-in sound system. So anytime a band like mine comes in, we have to hire a sound guy to come in, and it takes a day to set all that up, and it's not cheap, as you know. In fact, the sound man fee is more than the hall rental for a guy like me. And so I sat down with I've been meeting with John Durham, the manager of National Hall, and the board members of the National Hall, and we have struck a deal, and we are on the very very close to finalizing the terms of that. We are going to, Clarksville Creative Sound is going to come in and put in a state-of-the-art sound system. And I know this is music to your ears, no pun intended, Mike.
Yes, yes.
Challenges, and because even with the sound guys that we've had that have put in a sound system on the fly, and kind of like putting a square peg in a round hole, we've never been completely happy with the quality of the sound. And it's nothing against the sound guys; they're doing the best they can in a short amount of time. But we're going to have a sound system that's going to be designed specifically for that hall, for the the acoustics of that hall. And Paul Gonzalez is going to actually build cabinets to house the main speakers and the subwoofers, the low end stuff, to where those speakers are going to be built in. They're going to look like they were been in that hall all along, and the sound is going to be just absolutely killer for that hall. And so it's going to save so much for like your festival. It's going to save your festival a lot of money and time, because you've got a lot of moving parts. You've got 13 bands minimum that you've got to shuffle in and out of there in some tight windows. And so having that sound system intact where these guys can just come in and plug in and play is going to be, I think, a huge plus. And so we're excited also, because I'm planning on doing a minimum of one concert every month at National Hall for the foreseeable future. The National Hall is going to provide that hall for me in return for us coming in and putting that sound system in.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been noticing, but for the last 5 minutes, I've had an ear-to-ear grin, because that is music to my ears. That might save me some substantial money with my sound guy. I'll probably still have him there to do all the mixing for us, but if we can use that system you're building in there, if you get it done before November, that would be fantastic. That'll help reduce some of our operating costs.
Oh, we'll for sure have it done before November. And we've got a professional sound, we got a professional sound guy that this is what he does. He installs sound systems in these concert halls and, places just like this, dance halls and things like that. So he's, believe me, it's going to be great. It really is.
And that's pretty cool. You're going to have Paul Gonzalez build these custom cabinets and finish it. The wood on those, he's going to finish it out to kind of match the wood trim inside the hall, make it look like it's been there since the old days.
Yeah, because when you're dealing with a place like that, it's right on the verge of gaining a historical landmark designation, which it should have. You've got to be very cognizant of the authenticity. You can't just go and slap things on the walls, it cannot compromise the historical integrity of the.
Yes. National Hall is a member of the Texas Dance Hall Preservation Society, based out of Austin, Texas, and that is a huge nonprofit group that helps financially support all these old historic dance halls. Most of them are located in and around Central South Texas, Austin, San Antonio, and the rural areas all around there. That's where most of these halls are. Up north here in Dallas-Fort Worth, the only two that are members, I think, are National Hall in Fort Worth and the, what's the name of the hall in Dallas? It escapes me. Gosh, I can't remember. There is an old dance hall in near Deep Ellum in Dallas that is celebrated. And by the way, I forgot to mention the Longhorn Ballroom recently opened in Dallas. That's quite unique story. I attended that night, the opening night here about a month ago. Asleep at the Wheel played at the old Longhorn. Of course, that dance hall was built in the late 50s or maybe early 60s. It was built for Bob Wills after he moved back from California, from Sacramento. A big oil operator out of Dallas helped fund the building of that huge hall. It's gigantic. I think like 2,000 people can fit in there. And that's a neat restoration project that a guy in Dallas by the name of Edwin Cabanas has rebuilt that hall. And it was just gorgeous when I was there. He's built kind of like what we've built, the historical museum inside National Hall. He's built permanent exhibits inside the Longhorn Ballroom that highlight all of the old past performers that have played there. And they're not just Western swing. They've got a lot of different country artists, even some rock and roll artists played there, like the Sex Pistols. They got a one area devoted to them as well, but pretty cool. I think the Rolling Stones might have played there. No, I don't think the Rolling Stones played there. But anyway.
Mick Jagger actually came in there to watch, I think, Waylon Jennings play one night.
That's right. So anyway, we got to keep these old dance halls alive. And Steve, what you're doing with National Hall is fabulous, and their board should fully embrace you on this. They've got a wonderful board of directors that are still run by the Czech SPJST local lodge number 92. Same group still runs it.
I'll tell you this, Mike. Working with those board guys, I haven't experienced the full force of the entire board, but they appoint 2 or 3 guys as a committee to talk with me about this project, and I felt like I was talking to three clones of our dad. Square-headed German Czech guys, very conservative.
Yeah, very conservative, and they're good negotiators. They're tough negotiators, but if you strike a deal with them, it's a done deal. What else was I going to say? Something related to that, and I forgot. But anyway, we're just excited to have that hall. I want to keep it there. I really do. And if I can pull off this outdoor stage and get the city approval to do that, that'll be a good way to expand the head count there. Anyway,
John Durham really wants to keep the festival. He's very accommodating. Of course, he's got a board to answer to, and so. But I've really enjoyed getting to know John, and what a great cook he is, man. He lays out some fabulous food.
Yes. Brent, next subject matter. I'd love for you to meet me in Turkey, Texas next weekend for Bob Wills Day. Are you coming?
Well, I tell you what, we'll have to circle back around offline on that one.
Okay, no problem. Well, that's where I'm headed next weekend. I don't think Steve can make it. He's headed to Ruidoso, I think. But I'm headed to my 8th year in a row of going to the Bob Wills Day in Turkey, Texas. That's what sparked my whole interest in this music genre. When in 2016, I took my father there, wheeled him around in a wheelchair, and we had a ball. And I was blown away with the 5,000 people a year, sometimes as many as 10,000 come. Last year's 50th anniversary was close to 10,000, but it's coming up next weekend, April 27, 28, 29 in Turkey, Texas, out in the middle of the Texas Panhandle, just southwest of Childress, the home of Bob Wills. He moved there at age 7 or 8, I think. He was born in Cossie, Texas. They got a little ranch, sharecroppers, a little cotton farm, and he was raised there. And the town of Turkey embraces Bob Wills. That whole town comes alive. There's live music venues all over town. That you got the Church of Western Swing, you got the Slab. This Church of Western Swing, by the way, is a cool place. A guy by the name of Tommy Thompson has bought that and totally revitalized it. And it's a wonderful venue that plays every night. But you've also got the Turkey High School gym. That's a picture of the gym inside the old high school gymnasium. They converted into a dance floor. They put up the world's largest wooden fiddle. I think a rancher out there had that commissioned and built, and it kind of backs the stage. That's Ray Benson performing last year in the Sleep at the Wheel at last year's Bob Wills Day. But it is a great tradition. They call it really the Super Bowl of Western swing festivals. That's the old Turkey Hotel in downtown Turkey. They have live music out in their patio porch outdoors every evening. There's the Slab across the street that you can dance. It's an outdoor venue where Chuck Cusimano and Country Enough plays. This is a picture of the football field, the former football field of Turkey High School. They do a big outdoor concert, and thousands of people sit and watch Jason Roberts and the Bob Wills Texas Playboys, along with Jody Nix and Louise Rowe, and a lot of stars sit in with them. But Jason and the Playboys are the main attraction for that afternoon concert. And sadly, Dr. Charles Townsend, who for years and years and years, he was the MC of that Saturday afternoon concert. At age 94 or 5, he passed away just a month or two ago, and we're all so sad to lose him. He was a star in our documentary film, Steve, as you well know, one of our historians, and added so much to the film. He's just a treasure, and we're so sad to lose him. But I don't know who's going to fill his shoes during that football outdoor concert on the football field. Maybe it might be Jason Roberts. Jason can tell the Bob Wills story better than anybody, so I kind of have a feeling he may be taking over Doc Townsend's role there. But it's a wonderful 3-day festival. Our film, The Birth and History of Western Swing, is going to be playing Thursday, April 27 at the Church of Western Swing at 3 p.m. And then on Friday at 3 p.m., our film will be shown at the fully restored old Gym Theater in downtown Turkey, a great, great old movie theater that was built in the 1940s. And we'll have 2 different screenings, Thursday and Friday, both at 3 o'clock. And then all those evening dances. It's if you want to make a trek out, kind of the pilgrimage, if you will, the Super Bowl of all Western Swing festivals, come to Turkey.
Mike, you call it the Super Bowl of Western Swing. I call it the Woodstock of Western Swing.
Yeah, it is. It is more like a Woodstock because a lot of it's outdoor, and it's great. And you meet salt of the earth people there. Tons of West Texas ranchers, cowboys, just people that grew up listening to this music and dancing to it every moment of their lives. And these people are serious dancers. Brent, I get tired just watching them for 3 days straight. And also at our festival, the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing, these folks dance nonstop. It's incredible. It's such a joyous music to dance to.
Well,
I believe our going to be represented by Mary Minner of CMA of Texas. I believe she's coming out there this year. I'm not sure. I'll have to check with her.
Would love to entertain Miss Mary Minner. You talk about someone that is doing a lot for the state of Texas. She heads up that great Country Music Association that was established back in 1975, and she's taken it over in the last few years and brought it to a whole new level. That show she put on in Lubbock last year was so impressive. And Steve, I think she's moving it to Houston. Is that right, for next year?
Yeah, moving it to Houston and going to have it at I believe Do-Si-Do's. It's a big dance hall. So the thing about having it last year at the Cactus Theater, it was a great venue, but there was no room to dance. So and our people like to dance. So
yes. Another shout out about Bob Wills Day and our festival. Our MC for the film screenings on Thursday and Friday is none other than the great Billy Bowles, the guy that runs Swingin' Country radio show out of Lubbock, KSSL. He's going to be our MC for both film screenings. He's also our Friday MC at our festival. He's going to be out there, and he never misses a Bob Wills Day. He lives, I think only an hour and a half from Turkey. For me, that's a 4.5 hour drive, and I'm driving a big old RV out there. There's not many hotels. If you plan to go, you can stay in Childress nearby. It's about 40 miles away. Or if you've got an RV, that's really the best thing to do. Or if you can find an Airbnb in one of the small towns around Turkey. I know I've got a house rented also in Kittyquay. What a great town name. That's located 9 miles from Turkey, but it's a great experience. Someday, Brent, we got to get you there.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you,
maybe the A-list can play there, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you were talking so much about dancing. Before we get out of here, let's show everybody a little clip of what we're talking about here.
Put on your new shoes, put on your gown, shake off them sad blues, the big ball down, big ball and Cowtown, you all go down, big ball and Cowtown, big balls in town. Thank you. Just right now, I'm falling one more time. One more time, my lips may kiss you. One more time, my arms will hold you. I won't be long until you go. The memory left behind.
Wow. All I can say to that is, as Bob Wills would holler. That is Jody Nix performing. He's the crown prince of Western swing. He's been playing it longer than anybody out there, I think, to this day. He's been active now for an amazing 60 years performing this music. That's 10 years longer than even Ray Benson. So he is a stalwart fixture in Turkey. He plays the Saturday night dance every year. His daddy, Hole Nix, played the Saturday night dance for many years since the start of it in 1971 or 2, I think is when it launched. Last year was the 50th. This year's the 51st. And it is just, you can't put it into words. It's really a wonderful deal. And I hope some folks might be able to make it out there.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we've packed a lot into this hour here, and we sure do appreciate you, Mike, coming on to talk about all this stuff. Again, we want to make sure before we get out of here that we make another plug for the websites, not only for the film, for folks to donate there, but also to get the tickets for the festival.
Yeah, the Birthplace of westernswing.com for tickets and historyofwesternswing.com for donations to the film. Thank you so much, Brent. I can't say enough about your professionalism, how you put these shows together. Steve and I are not near as technically advanced as you are, and we really appreciate it. And Steve, what a great job he's done with this music. I just applaud his and I'm so proud of him with his band and his music and his recordings. My goodness, he's got over 50 songs he's released in 3 great CDs, but he's got a stack of a bunch more songs he's working on. He just returned from Clarksville a week or 2 ago, and they wrote a bunch more songs. He and Kurt Ryle and John Castleberry in the depths, or the heights, I should say, of the Smoky Mountains out there. So,
well, we're actually heading up to the Smoky Mountains again in July to do another songwriting jag. It's going to be a lot of fun, and John Castleberry, Kurt, and I, and taking the wives up there this time. So while we're writing songs, they'll be tooling around Pigeon Forge, which there's a lot. Pigeon Forge has kind of become a mini Branson. You know, there's a lot of going on there. Dolly Parton pretty much single-handedly built that whole thing up. But we're looking forward to it. Yeah, I've got the greatest producer in the world and the greatest musicians, that session musicians, through Kurt Ryle, and I'm just so honored and excited about what we're doing, not only with my music, but with all these artists that we're bringing on board with Clarksville Creative Sound, and working with Mary Minter with the CMA community as well. So we're doing our part to bring this music, real country music and Western swing, back to the forefront, and it's swinging that way real quickly.
Yeah, just say it's probably a good thing you're taking the wives with you.
That's hilarious. Perfect timing, Brent.
Just saying.
Brent, that's fine. Fine. Your check will not be mailed this month.
That is
violated.
That is just priceless. I can't say enough about Brent's timing with that.
Well,
With that being said, guys, I'm going to head back to the film and get to work on this licensing.
all right, a big job there. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to join us here, and let's make sure we catch up here soon to get an update.
Thank y'all again for all you're doing to promote this music with your wonderful show, Fort Worth Musical Moments.
Thanks, Mike. And I'm likewise, I'm proud of you and everything you've accomplished. And I'm super proud to be a part of helping you with the film and continuing to help promote the film and this great music through your festival. And I'm so excited. I think your festival, if Turkey is the Super Bowl of Western Swing, then you're definitely the championship playoff because that festival is just packed with so many cool things. I mean, I've been to other festivals, maybe not as many as you have, but there's nothing that compares with that weekend that you put together. And I know it doesn't happen automatically. There's a lot of hard work that goes behind that. So my hat's off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. In one word, we like to call our festival epic. You know, it is an epic experience. So thank you all.
All right.
Good deal.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Mike.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yes.
What happened in Washington, D.C., buddy? You got a second, just a real quick second to talk about that?
Yes, I do. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about what's going on with Clarksville Creative Sound. As far as Washington, D.C. goes, I was with a group of 4 or 5 that actually got a face-to-face meeting the day before yesterday with the chairwoman of the FCC, as well as her chief of staff, and also a staff attorney, and we had a really frank discussion about where things are headed with this whole AM radio thing, and not just that one specific issue, but kind of the raveling, if you will, that could occur if pulling the raveling on a sweater here. You're just trying to pull that one little bit, but the law of unintended consequences tell you it could be a whole lot worse. And trying to make the case that, hey, if AM radio goes and it's just in dash, the next thing FM goes, the next thing you know, marketers are wanting to put their dollars elsewhere because they see radio as not a viable medium. So, we're trying to make the case that it is very viable, especially in rural America where you don't have adequate streaming via broadband or cell network. Also, people rely on the EAS system. They need their news, they need their markets, they need so much more. And also on the music end, independent artists, the lifeblood is these non-reporting stations in rural America that will still play this music. So there are just, I could sit here all day long and rattle off examples of why it's important. And we saw a similar kind of decline in the newspaper industry here over the last 20 years. When a lot of the big conglomerates came in and rolled up, and a lot of the hedge funds bought in, and all these small town newspapers started dying, and this is kind of the beginning of this for radio too. And as was explained to us, and it's they were very welcoming. They listened, they asked a lot of questions, and you could see that there's some interest there. But as they explained to us, their lane is pretty narrow in terms of their jurisdiction in this situation. And from a legislative standpoint, there is a lot that needs to be done by Congress. And from an enforcement standpoint, you're also talking about involving organizations such as FEMA and the Department of Transportation. So it's a very complex puzzle with a lot of moving pieces. And as I kind of conveyed my concern to the chairwoman, I understand the speed the government moves at, and it has its own pace, but these auto manufacturers are forcing the issue very quickly. So there is a sense of urgency there. And that's one thing that we are continuing to beat the drum on. And it's not just the broadcasters. I was there with the group from the National Association of Farm Broadcasting, of which I'm a regional vice president. And we had a past president there, our executive director, and our president-elect also there, as well as another nationally known farm broadcaster, and just all laying out the case there. And they are aware of it. They've been reading all the news reports over the past few weeks, so they get it. I think would like to see the automakers slow down as much as we would, and they're looking at it from a standpoint also of issues of interference. We brought to their attention the fact that an engineer that works with the immediate past president actually saw a real world example of where he pulled up next to a Ford F-150 EV Lightning vehicle and experienced interference of his AM signal in Chicago of WGN, a very clear channel, 50,000 watt station. And so that was something that the if you have to hang your hat on one peg to get them interested, that was one peg they were really interested about. That they realized that AM in vehicles could cause interference in EVs, but they never really considered the fact that those EVs may be causing interference to other vehicles around them on the roadway. So now all of a sudden they're set to go back and pour through comments and documents and look at it through that lens. And we'll keep beating the drum on our end, and also we partnered with the National Association of Broadcasters and the National Association of State Broadcast Associations. So there's some muscle starting to show up at the table. But we also encourage anybody who is listening, just the general public, to get on the website of the auto manufacturers and also reach out to their Congress folks and let them know it's not okay. What's happening here is not okay. And we're just going to keep sharing that message throughout the spring and summer and into the fall, and as long as it takes.
Where do you see satellite radio like Sirius XM? Where do you see all that going in this?
Well, I think it's got its lane. It's carved out its niche there, and it's fine. If you want to opt to pay for radio, that's fine. I do, because there's some things on there that I'm curious about that I like to see. Plus, I have friends who have shows on there, so I like to support them. What I don't like is the fact that there's areas that look, if you're in a town, we're right on the Indiana-Kentucky border, and just a couple of hours away from us, a town or a few towns were pretty much wiped off the map a couple of years ago with that devastating December tornado. If you can't stream because you don't have adequate cell service, or you don't have broadband service, or you've used your phone all day and you've only got 5% battery life, and a storm is barreling down on you, you need that first alert system to be able to help you understand what's going on. And if you don't have AM radio and you don't have local stations there to provide you with that information, that's a huge safety issue. So, you can't get those warnings from Spotify. You can't get them from Apple Music. You can't get them from Sirius XM. So it's imperative that there is a vibrant radio system out there, and it shouldn't be something you have to pay extra for.
Well, and you look at state radio stations like our friend Kathy Jules KSSL out there near Lubbock in that area, and that is a mainstay deal out there in her community. And those people that are out there working the ranches and the farms and running the combines and all that. That's what I'm sure most of them like to listen to. It's kind of like an extension of the old coffee shop where you keep abreast of what's going on in that community. And to see that being threatened is kind of a little bit disturbing. And so I guess, my question was going to be, what can we do at the personal level to get involved? And what you're saying is reach out to your local Congress people in your district and
right. Well,
go online search, and
the tough thing is there's no law on the books that says an automaker has to provide those radios in vehicles. So it is still just another add-on to a vehicle. So if they decide to pull them all, they're well within their rights to do that. What we're trying to do is to appeal to the regulatory bodies and to Congress to tell them that, hey, this also interferes with this EAS system, and any kind of dissemination of any kind of important information not just weather alerts, but we saw this with the newspaper industry when all these small important local newspapers started disappearing. There was nobody there to really pay attention to what the city council was doing, or the county council, or the schools, or fill in the blank. And when that happens, that's not a good thing. There needs to be watchdogs for those things. And we have statistics with the National Association of Farm Broadcasting that show between 83 and 87%, depending on the quarter that we surveyed, and different people every quarter were listening to farm broadcasting at least 5 days a week. And many of those are listening for, well, actually the overwhelming majority listening for 3+ hours a day. So they are still tuning in mass to to listen to this coverage, be it agriculture coverage or music. So it's still vitally important in a lot of communities. A lot of times they look at these issues through the lenses of major metropolitan areas or even medium-sized cities, without really considering what's not there in rural America, which is underserved by a number of things, from broadband internet to hospitals to retail and restaurant. You have to drive a good distance. And I've even seen it, I travel a lot between Nashville and Louisville. And, if you want to stream something, we've got dead spots. You get between Bowling Green and maybe Bullitt County, Kentucky, where you don't have a reliable 4G, 5G, LTE signal. And, so those people are very vulnerable. And, that's the kind of stuff that that people don't consider when they're just making these decisions for profit.
Yes. Well, yeah, one thing you were telling me that's a little disturbing is the movement to go almost. Some of these automakers are even talking about a kind of a
Right.
service-based deal where all your little bells and whistles you got to pay for.
And this is where it's all going. And there's reports out there that say that by 2030, General Motors is looking to bring in about $30 billion in revenue through these subscriptions. And we're talking everything from streaming whatever kind of audio they let you stream in there, to controlling your heat and air conditioning, which Audi is already doing in some markets in Europe, to your seat warmers, to your navigation, all of that on a subscription-based basis. Not like vehicles aren't more expensive than they've ever been, but now they want to turn around and charge you to turn on features within the vehicle. And so they've kind of given away their playbook there. Radio is just one component in this. And I think they kind of went to the extreme to kind of set the precedent for this, or to set the bar. But ultimately, what will probably wind up happening is they will keep some semblance of AM, FM radio in a vehicle, but you're going to have to pay to stream it, or pay to have it. And then our other argument with that is, okay, if that happens, there needs to be some sort of receiver standard. So they're putting in something other than some sort of substandard receiver. So it's not a garbage signal you're getting, that it's as good as anything you're getting right now.
Wow. Well, lots to digest there, lots to think about. But these things happen sometimes, and we don't realize until it's too late what has transpired. But because these lobbyist groups for like these auto manufacturers, they're pretty powerful and they can get things done. So, but there is something we can do about it as citizens, one by one, and get involved. So I think I get the message there.
Well, and you talk about special interests and lobbies, and then the average citizen thinks, well, I'm kind of powerless against that. And I don't know, there is strength in numbers, and I think the more people that do show up can make their voices heard. I think that is still possible. And I was encouraged by the fact that we were able to get that time this week at the FCC. And I'm sure we'll be back in front of other regulatory agencies here in the coming months as this thing develops. But you're right. I spent more than a decade covering the automotive industry, and usually things kind of leak out in dribs and drabs. But this one, I think there was some speculation, but everybody thought it was really far off. But they, held this close to the vest, and all of a sudden, once they're ready to move on it pretty quickly. And I think you're seeing that across the board with all these automakers. I mean, the announcements have come pretty fast and furious over the past few weeks, and I would expect that to continue. So, especially once we get on the radar and the automakers realize we're out there with some resistance, I think they're going to push even harder. So, mount up here. This is kind of where we're at with all this stuff, and we're just going to keep digging in here and trying to fight for the position of radio, not just for farm broadcasting's sake, but for all of radio's sake. I mean, you're talking about a medium that's over 100 years old here and still deserves to have its place at the table because it's still vital to communities.
Yeah. Well, okay, a lot to take in there.
Yeah. That said, you guys are still making music with Clarksville Creative Sound. What's going on that end?
Well, I haven't. It's funny, I haven't talked to Kurt in a few days, so I need to get an update. I know he's got someone coming in to record this next
I
week.
believe I see Kerry Romero is headed back to the studio.
That's right. I had a mental block there, and forgive me, Kerry, if you're watching, because Kerry is one of the newer members of our group, and she is got a fabulous voice. We actually met her at last year's Western Swing Festival. Ronnie Ray brought her, or Donnie, Ronnie Ray brought her in, and he knows how to spot talent, and she is a gem. And I think she spent like a week or so with Kurt a while back writing some original songs, and so she's going to come in and record and get to go through that whole process. I always want to be there with every artist for the first time when they experience the magic of what Kurt does in that studio with these musicians. It's just an incredible thing. You got to witness some of it the other day, long ago, and it's such a neat deal because you see it in their eyes. They're like, wow, this is, for me, it was like, this is the way I pictured a recording session should be. And sometimes you go in these recording studios and they're akin to a dungeon, but
Right.
but Kurt's studio is so nice and spacious and bright, and it's just a great environment for creative environment. And boy, do they make music there. I mean, and it's amazing to watch Kurt orchestrate that whole thing. So yeah, Kerry Romero's coming in. Braden Ryle, Kurt's son, and Jasmine McDonald did a little concert in Georgia, and I can't remember the name of the event, but they asked them to come out there. It's the same venue that Jasmine shot her video of the train station song, which I have yet to see the video. I think they're releasing it pretty soon, so I can't wait to see that. So a lot of things going on there. In fact, speaking of Jasmine, she's going to be our guest next week's show.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for that. I hope everybody will tune in here. That's going to be 10 a.m. Central next Friday for Fort Worth Musical Moments, and we'll have some of Jasmine's music queued up next week. We'll have a lot of fun with that. We always enjoy talking with Jasmine, and we're really looking forward to watching her rise through the music industry, because I really do think she has the goods to be something special in this business, and it's fun to kind of watch her blossom as an artist.
She is very, very special. She's got a great support group around her with Donna and Charlie McDonald. They're just the quintessential, parents, I guess you could say, of Jasmine that guide her, and they're all about letting her do her thing because they see the talent in her, so yes, I think she is definitely star material, and we're going to do everything we can on our end to make that happen for her. She's already gaining a huge following, and just getting better and better. And now we know that she's a great songwriter as well, got a real talent for that, and a musician. And I think she'll probably also go into the production side of things too. She's got a keen interest to learn from Kurt about the studio side of it. So, and that's important as well. So yes, we're so excited to have her, and I think we may have Kurt on that show next week if he's available, because Kurt has been with Jasmine since she was a little bitty girl, and so Kurt can talk more than any of us about Jasmine through the years and how she's evolved. And Kurt may even have a few stories on Jasmine that none of us have ever heard, so anyway, it should be a fun deal. And Kurt and Jasmine have a great relationship, and so we'll see if we can get Kurt on as well to help us make that a real entertaining hour.
Well, excellent. I hope that'll be enough to make everybody come back again 10 a.m. next Friday, 10 a.m. Central for Fort Worth Musical Moments. And until then, Steve, I hope you have a great week between now and then.
Thank you, Brent. You too, man. Get some rest, buddy. I know you've been on a fast track, so get some rest, and we'll regroup and look forward to next week.
Absolutely, will do. And I'd encourage everybody to check out my show, Tractors and Troubadours. The episode 75 of the podcast just launched today. We've got some of the early coverage from Washington, D.C., including Senate Ag Committee Leader Debbie Stabenow and House Committee Leader G.T. Thompson talking about the Farm Bill and other ag policy issues. We get into some agronomy issues. If you're watching this and you're a cotton farmer in Texas there, we've got some cotton fertility issues this week. And we've got the gamut. And then we bring in our featured music artist, Dale Houston. And he's a phenomenal artist. He has a song called What the Buck. And it's about what happened to country music and Buck Owens and all the great ones here. So you're going to want to hear that. Fast fact, Dale is the proud owner of Merle Haggard's Super Chief bus, which he takes meticulous care of. And you might see it running up and down the highways and byways of America. And he is actually the fiance of Lee Newton, who was last week's featured artist. They are both great traditional country music artists and doing big things. So I want to promote them and do all we can to further their music. So go listen to that again. Episode 75 of Tractors and Troubadours, available at ruralstrongmedia.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, hey, make sure you're listening to Rural Strong Radio, our 24/7 streaming radio station found at ruralstrongmedia.com. or on the Live 365 streaming app. Some great ag programming. We've got a lot of traditional country music on there, a lot of Western swing. We got a lot of Steve Markwardt on there. You don't have to listen very long to catch one of his songs on there. And a couple, as we always say, a couple great Sunday programs starting at 9 a.m. Central. It's 3 hours of great inspirational music. With Sunday's Kind of Country, that leads us up to noon Central when we have Billy Bowles come in with Billy Bowles Swinging Country, 2 great hours of traditional country and Western swing music. So I hope you come in and join us here on Rural Strong Radio. Well, I tell you what, that's enough for the plugs. Let's get on to the rest of the day here. Thank you to everybody who has hung in here with us. And hey, make sure you go check out everything with the birth and history of Western swing and the Cowtown Birthplace of Western Swing Festival. So for Steve Markwardt, Brent Adams, have a great week, everybody.
So long.
You've been watching Fort Worth Musical Moments, a production of Rural Strong Media and Clarksville Creative Sound, copyright 2023. Please join the Fort Worth Musical Moments Facebook group and join us each Friday at 10 a.m. Central as we introduce you to another key figure in Fort Worth's musical heritage.